Okay, so I want to go to make a new stair now and have that going from my lower floor. I've just opened up my lower floor plan, and I want that to go from my lower floor to my upper floor. So I thought it was a good chance to just go over the stair tool a little bit more, and then also show you how to get some of these things for stairs, both stairs and balustrades, from the library. So I've got a desk there, I'm just going to delete that. And so now on the Active tab, I'm just going to click on the Stair tool. And I'll just point out a couple of things before I even start drawing. You can see if you're on the left, you've got these different stair types, and they do draw differently. And the one that you probably find is the most difficult is the concrete stair, which is, in fact, there are two types of concrete stairs. There's the cast-in-place stair and the pre-cast stair. They're both concrete stairs, and they're the most difficult to use. They're the most difficult to use. Because of the way they connect to the floor, there's an extra riser that you need in some cases. So, so again, they take a bit more practice. So I'm going to go back to the first one in the list there, which is 190mm maximum riser, 250mm going, which is perfect for residential stairs. So again, it's an assembled stair. So I'll just bring that list up again so you can see these are all the stairs that are loaded. I'll come back to this and I'll load a different type of stair afterwards. So I've loaded my stair. Oh, so I've chosen my stair type, and then I'm going to check my levels. So I've got there the base level on lower ground, also lower floor, and then the top level I'm going to check as well, because there are levels in between lower floor and upper level, or upper floor, and it may pick up one of those levels. So you might see it maybe would go to street level, which is my next level above lower floor. And then notice how here it's got desired number back down to 2, because that street level is only a little bit higher than my lower floor level. So it's worked out that I only need 2 risers to go that high. But I do want to go higher, so I'm going to go back to upper floor, and then you can see it tells me the desired number is 25. So if I was to have that many stairs in my, that many stairs, don't say that's not right. Why did it say 25? So I choose something higher. Yeah, that's better, 14, that's more like it. But I should actually just show you, if I go to a higher level again, I'll go to upper ceiling. So you can see there it's gone to 27. So do you remember how many stairs you can have in a flight? 80. Yeah. So I'll double check that, because this does change quite a bit, and my memory is a bit faulty sometimes with all the changes. Yeah, 18 with a landing, yeah, that's right. So, but 18 in the flight, and then you can have a landing. So, but it doesn't have to check these things, because it's changed a few times over the years since I've been doing this, and so volume 2, and roll back to that, and here we are. Now it's open. Go away. Pretty sure it is 18, but and it's always good to look at this. So here we go. Not more than 18 and not less than 2, which is interesting. So if it's less than 2, it's a threshold, basically, and that still has requirements. Okay, so if we had that many steps, if we had 27, we'd have to divide that into multiple flights. And so I'll just show you, if you need to have a stair with a landing, you can do that. I'll put it back to, or I'll leave it on 28 actually, and then I'm just going to put in a point to start my run, come across, and you can see there it's counting. At the moment it's on 11 risers created, 17 remaining, so I can go to 18, I suppose. So that's my first flight. You can see how tiny this building is. And so I'll drag this across now to give myself some more room. And then back to the run tool, and I'll go and draw a new flight. So that's, and here it's on run center, so I'm clicking where I want the center of the stair to be. And I'm going to come down and just put in a couple of steps, maybe 2. And you can see then it'll put the landing in for me. I'll do another start point, and then come over to the left this time, and do the remainder. So we struggled to fit that into this building, but otherwise that would work. And so again, you can see it's added the landing there. So all I want you to see there is that when you're drawing the flights, you don't need to draw the landings generally. You just click where you want the start and the end of each flight to be. Then you have to, yeah, so then the best way, I'll just delete this. So if you want to put winders in, you've actually got these special stair types, L-shaped winder and U-shaped winder, which are there really to make winders. But they take a bit of getting used to, so maybe a better way is if you just draw a straight stair, and so I'll do that. And just to make this a bit simpler, before I finish it, I'm going to change my levels there to upper floor. And then I might just click a point for my new flight. And yeah, I've only got a couple to do, so there we are. Okay, so I've got all the stairs I need, but then, like you're saying, you might want to put a winder in here instead of the landing, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to start and show you a couple of good tricks for shortening this stair. So you see when you select a stair flight, then you've got the circle there, which is a grip, and then the arrow, and they do different things. So you can see what they do. I'm going to go to my section view, just so that you can see the stair from the side. And I'm going to change it to wireframe so that you can see the actual steps. So now if I select that stair, you can see that I've got those same controls, the grip, the circle, and the arrow. And so you'll see if I use the grip, it reduces the steps. Oops, let's try that again. Why won't it do it? Oh, because I've got, okay, so I've got the full flight. I'm just going to delete this actually, so it's going to work a bit better. So just to make this work, I'm going to come back and delete this last flight so that it can make some changes. And so notice how it kept the landing there. So I'm going to also come back and delete that landing and then go back to my section. So now, no, it still doesn't want to stretch. Hang on there. Going from the top, that's it. So, go back a bit. And normally you can stretch them, maybe it's got to be, oh there we go, now it's working. This is so bizarre. Yeah, it is a bit clunky or a bit fiddly, but here we are. So now you can see if I use the grip, yeah, that's what I wanted you to see. So notice how it does reduce the number of steps, but it doesn't alter the other steps. So that one can be a bit dangerous. So generally you want to avoid using that grip, because even here, if I now use the arrow, it's not going to do what it should. So watch out for that one. And if you do drag it accidentally that way, you can fix it. Just with that stair flight selected over in properties, you can set the run base height back to 0. And that'll add in enough steps to get back to the level you're on. So normally when you are stretching the stairs, that arrow works better. Here it's just going to move the stair. But if I drag it on the other end, actually it's going to do the same thing. So, and I'll show you now with a a new run. So I'll draw a new run going again from that point roughly there. So let's put my landing in. Oh, I know why it's struggling, because there's only one here. Okay, so I'm going to add in some, so I'll delete that again and delete my landing again. Okay, so I want to show you some more stairs in the second flight. So I'm going to reduce this using the arrow there, so using the circle. So you can see that stretches it back and reduces my steps. So now back to the run tool, and if I draw in my new flight, I've got more steps to work with. Okay, so then I'll show you in the section. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now if I select this staircase and use the arrow, that's it. Okay, so you can see how it's taking or adding stairs from this flight. It couldn't before. It's one of those little buggy things because I only had one step in my second flight. But now if I use the arrow, taking it to the right, you can see it's taking a step off this flight and adding it to the other flight. So it's pretty clever. And if I go to the left, it does the opposite. So it adds stairs to this flight and takes them off the other one. Yeah, so the opposite. So, and so in plan, look at that. So here you can see using the arrow. So it's pretty clever that it can do that without having to redraw that shape, that plan. So that's pretty good. And so just make sure you realise there is a difference between the arrow and the circle. Often you'll be able to work it out with trial and error, but it's good if you've got a basic idea of the difference. And so now, oh yes, I want to put the winders in. Okay, so to do that, we need to convert the stair. Also, we need to convert the whole, the landing actually. So say I want to put in 2 more risers. So what I'll do is I'll use the circle there to drag this back so that I've only got 1 step here. Okay, so I know that I need 2 more risers, but if someone else was to come and look at this, they would still be able to tell, even though they haven't made it, that they need 2 more. Do you know where to look to find how many you should have? Right? Oh, sorry? No, not how many are required from BCA, but just in Revit, how many Revit things you need. That's right, desired number. That's it, exactly, that's it. So we've got 12 here, but over in properties it's telling us desired number is 14, so we know that we need 2 more. Okay, so to draw those in, we need to go to sketch mode. So I'm going to select this landing and then convert it. You have to convert to get to sketch. So here I've selected the landing, and then up in the ribbon you've got the convert option. So once you convert it, those automatic things that I was just showing you, that you get by dragging, they don't work so well. So here, if I drag this now, it's still working because the landing is, the stairs weren't affected, but it still can cause problems. So what I can do with this landing though is now select it and then go to edit sketch. So then to draw in a winder, simply going to draw a line. And, oh, now actually, sorry, I can't do it this way because this is a, so this is a landing. So what I'd have to do actually, so is delete that and then draw in a new, so I'll just select this one. So I've deleted the landing because the new bit I need to make is technically another stair flight. So I'll have to select this one and then convert it. And now I can go to edit sketch, that's better, and then draw in well, I'll start with a boundary. So looking at what's here already, the green lines are boundaries. So I need to basically extend those. And you can see here that the boundary on this previous stair is on the edge of that handrail, and then coming across and down, connects those boundaries, and then I've got to do the same up here, across and then down. So the boundaries basically go either side of the stair, and then I can draw my risers. So the risers are the black lines. So I'll start with one from the corner here that goes 30 degrees from that baseline. And then I'm going to draw another line from that same point, which is another 30 degrees around, so 60 degrees. And then I have to draw one here to finish it off. And then finally, to connect all that to the other parts of the stair, I'm going to draw a stair path that goes through the middle and across. And then I'll use trim just to join, will I use trim? So no, I'll draw another stair path actually from here, and then use trim to join that to the one I just drew previously. Okay. So that will work as a stair sketch. There's a bit of an art to it, but basically it does revolve around having boundary lines on the sides, risers in between for each step, tick to finish, there we are. So that's going to give me winders. Yeah, it would. Yeah. And that would work as a built stair. That would be fine. Well, they are relatively. It's just this part that isn't. But you could always move that over. That's okay, though. You could actually have that like that. So looking at it in 3D, I'll finish my stair, and then we'll just hide this. So you can see that it has worked in 3D as a stair. Okay, so just to finish off with that, and you will be able to get most stair forms that you want with that stair tool. It's pretty good. So now, though, I need to make the hole in my floor. So I might go back to the plan view and then just move that using the move tool so that it lines up with the corner of my wall. Take the constraint off so I can just snap to the corner. There we are. Okay, so yeah, not the best stair I've ever done, that's sure.
What if you have like those stairs already, but you want like a nicer balustrade?
Oh yeah, I'm going to show you how to do balustrades in a sec. Yeah. So maybe I'll make it a little bit narrower first though. So I'm just going to go to edit that. And then this first part, we can just go and change that to a narrower width. But then you'll usually need to fine tune it afterwards. So I've made this part narrower, but then I've got to make the part that I drew before narrower as well. So I'm just moving all of these lines to line up with the first flight. There we go. And that's pretty good. Okay, so, except my path needs to be fixed. So all these little things. But stairs are a complicated thing. And if you ever talk to someone who's had to build a stair, they can tell you about all the little things that aren't so obvious when you go to design them. Okay, so I've got the basic shape for my stairs, and then I need to make a hole in the floor. And so to work it out properly, you can have a look in your section view, and then you can see, just using the ruler, what the height is from your, well, starting with the first step there, so from this first step up to the, well, at the moment it's a floor, but we'll say that's the ceiling above, is, what, 2100? So then from the second step, measuring to there, and I'm going to have probably a ceiling under this as well, but for now, even to there, it's 1992. So I'll get headroom if I want to have that first step covered over by what's above, but then from the second step, I'm not. So really, the void for that stair may as well be the shape of the stair. But you'll find if you've got a higher ceiling, that you may be able to get some extra floor space over the top of your stairs. So you just work that out in section the way you would have in the past when you were drawing in AutoCAD or even freehand. So I've worked that out enough in section to now go back into the floor plan. Right, and so we can see there, we can only see that the handrails and the very top of the stair is coming through the floor. So obviously the floor is covering the rest of it. So I'm going to select my floor. What have I got there? So I must have selected, oh yeah, reference plane. Okay, so there's my floor. Selected, so I'll go to edit boundary. And then I'm just going to draw lines going around the stair. Oh, you've got the shaft tool as well. But if it's only on one story, then this is just as easy to cut a hole. So I've just drawn the shape I want the hole to be, but now I need to use split to break this outside and then trim to join both sides. So that's made the hole in my floor. So then back into 3D, and so we've got a hole. And I'll just hide the windows. Okay, so we've got the hole there showing fairly clearly. And now we can see that also my my stairs are coming up too high. So let's have a look at why that is. Okay, well it's okay, so my floor must be the wrong height. Oh no, let's have a look. What's going on there? That's bizarre. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so when I was making the stair, remember I added in an extra riser, but I didn't change the desired number. So I've got 15 risers that I've drawn, but it still says desired number 14. But I've drawn 15, so really my desired number is 15. I want 15. So I'm going to change this to 15, and you'll see that the riser height then will change. There we are, and now the stairs line up exactly with the floor. So that's perfect. Okay, so then I'll show you how to get some different stairs from the library, and then we can have a look at the balustrades. Okay, so the trick... No, absolutely not. In fact, there's no requirement at all for balustrades. In residential, there's no requirement for a handrail. You've probably seen plenty of houses with stairs that don't have handrails. That's not that unusual. And then, I grew up in a 5-storey house that had no handrails going all the way to the top. And you did? Yeah, we were fine. We survived. People got all sorts of big things up to the top story without falling over. So yeah, it works. But it is nice to have a handrail, at least on one side. But yeah, the one up against the wall, we can just select and then press delete and get rid of. And same over here. No, you can just delete them. They're separate elements. So the balustrade is a separate thing to the stairs. So you can just delete them like that. Now, it doesn't look very good up against the wall because the string is visible as well, but I'll come back and show you how to get rid of that. Okay, so I said I'll show you how to get some stairs from the library, so I'll just quickly show you that. Okay, so there's a trick for this, and it works for lots of things, not just stairs, but railings, balustrades, like I said, walls, floors, all those system families. Sorry? No, it's easy once you know. It's just one of those things that isn't obvious at first, but once you know, it's pretty easy. So the trick is use open. And when open. So when people tell me it doesn't work, it's because they go too far, they remember that part, and then they go, oh, I've gone to open, I've got to choose an option from here. The trick is, don't do that. Just click where it says open. Because what that does is it'll let you open all supported file types. If you choose one of these options, you're limiting yourself to just one of those file types. But again, when you click where it says open, you can open any Revit file. So that's the first thing. Then you can still click on the shortcuts over on the left. Metric Library is the shortcut to the main library. I've clicked on Metric Library, and now I'm going to go to Sample Files. And there you've got stairs, railings, fences, roofs, all those things that basically are system families. So stairs is the one I want. I'll double click. So these are all the pre-made stairs that they give you out of the box with Revit. Okay, so let's say I want one of these more interesting timber stairs. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so I've selected it. Even though it's hard to tell, I have selected it. And so now I'm going to choose Copy to Clipboard in the Clipboard panel, and then switch back to the file I've had open. Oh yeah, so this window button here, and then you'll see all the views listed. So back to my tiny house file. And then on the Modify tab, I'm just going to click Paste. If you get a message about duplicate types, just click OK. So I'm just going to click anywhere to place my new stair. I don't care where it goes because I'm going to delete that now anyway. So now it's selected, delete, and I can select the stair I made previously, and then in the Properties panel, there's the new one, Residential Open Riser Middle Stringer. And there we are. Now, when I select this, it's gone back to 13 risers because that's the minimum I would need with this stair. It's even better than the last one, but I still want 15, so I'm just going to increase that back to 15 so it's got the right count for what I've done. So there we are. So that's a much better stair. And it works the same for railings. So again, I'll save the file. So I'm going to go again to File, Open, and then I'll open Railings, which is also in that Sample Files folder. So these are all the pre-made railings that they give you out of the box with Revit. Now, oh, they're already set. So if you select this, sample files, sampling files. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now with any of these selected, they're okay as a starting point. But if you want a slicker, like a simpler one, then you're probably out of luck. But I'm going to show you how to make one. Yeah, these are good for more complicated things. But yeah, for simpler ones, they're not always what you want. So I'll show you how you can see the materials. So when you select this, sorry. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'll show you how to get it in there. So to see the materials, though, just in case you want to see that, let's go to Edit Type. And you've got these two main options. So you've got the rail structure, and it uses profiles, and so the material is set directly to those, and they're all using the same material. It's going to be one of these timber materials. But then the balusters, so if you've tried to load a baluster family, this is where they're used. So baluster here, baluster placement, if we click Edit. So these are actual families that are hosted by the railing family. And so it's this Baluster 01 family that we need to look at to see the material. So that's a bit more involved. We can't actually get to it by going through the railing. Once we know what the name is, you actually have to go down to here, and you'll find balusters in railings, and then Baluster 01, there's the one I've just been looking at. And if we go into here, then, well, it actually doesn't even have any type properties, so you have to go and find the family. Right, and there's a bit of a trick to that too, so I'd have to show you how to get that, but you can do it. Yeah. And yeah, this is not a simple thing, but just wanted to show you that the baluster family is, it's another family, and you won't be able to find the properties for it in the railing itself. So the baluster, so here, Baluster 01, to see the materials that it's using. So the balusters are these vertical pieces here. So to find the material for that, you need to be able to find Baluster 01 and then editing.
Right.
And it's not a simple thing. It's varied a little bit. But you can do it. Okay, so that's just so you understand a bit more about railings. What I'm going to do, though, is bring this one across, and maybe I can use it for the outside, and then I'll show you how you can make maybe a slicker balustrade if you say want plain glass or something, which is a nice plain balustrade that you can make. And I'll show you how you can make that. So, what do you want? So I'm going to select this one and use the same method as I used for the stair to bring it into my file. So copy to clipboard, and then using that switch window button, I'll switch back to my file. So to make it accessible in this file, all I need to do now is paste, click to place it somewhere, and I don't need it, so I'll get rid of it now. And so maybe I'll just quickly whack a deck onto the back. So I might put a... Yeah, so I'll just stick a door there so that it's got some way of getting to it. And then put a floor that just sits outside, maybe to give a bit of a deck. Okay, so I've got a little balcony, and then back into the floor plan. So now I'm going to use the railing tool, and then as I'm drawing it in my list now, I've got that new one. It's called Parapetto 02. I can just choose that from the list. Draw my path. So the path to my railing is simply going to follow the edge of that floor. And it's done. It's finished. Back into the 3D view. Now, it's actually facing the wrong way, and I did that deliberately so I can show you how easy it is to fix it. Select it, and then when you right-click, you can flip orientation. And I've got to flip it again. Sometimes you've got to flip it a few times because there are 4 different orientations. And it's still not... I think that is right. So this one always confuses me a bit actually. But that is that the right way? Yeah, I think that's the right way. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that's what I was to do now. So say for the stair there, I might want, again, just plain glass is a good one to start with. Okay, so I'm going to make I'm going to show you how to get a profile. Okay, so if you go to the Insert tab and then Load Family, and then go to the Revit Library folder on the P drive, and then Profiles. Oh yeah. Okay, so you'll see there, these are all profiles that I've made, which are used for things like balustrades. So there's one here, rectangle 20 by 1210 is a really good one for balustrades next to a stair. And next to other things as well. So here again, 20 by 1210 is the one I'm using. So I've loaded that profile. That profile is just a rectangle. I might actually just open it so you can see. So you don't have to open it, but I'm just doing this so you can see what it looks like. It's nothing special. It's a rectangle. And actually what I'll do though is I'll fix this so that it works without, we'll just save a step or two. So I'm going to select that rectangle, and I'm going to move it down 210 mil. And so that's so that this top line is exactly 1,000 above that reference plane. So I'll load that back into my project now, and this file you can load exactly the same way. So now back into my 3D view, and I'm going to select the railing, and oh no, sorry, before I do that I'm going to fix this stair a little bit just so that the railing works better with it. So I'm going to select the stair, And even though I don't mind this rounding on the edge, I'm going to take it off so that my glass has something to go up against. So I'm going to go to Edit Type, show you a few stair properties you can adjust. So we've got the run type there, wood steps with 25mm tread, 25mm nosing. So I'm going to hit Browse there, and then the nosing profile, I'm going to change to front only. Yeah. There we are. So now you can see it's taken off the side and the back. Yeah. Okay, so now I'll select my railing and then go to Edit Type, duplicate, and I'm going to call this plain glass. Right, so then I'm going to go to rail structure. There are no rails at the moment, that's fine. I'm just going to click Insert and then change the profile to, probably guessed it, the one I've just loaded, rectangle 20 by 1210. Right, so that's the size of my glass, and then the material I'm simply going to set to glass, and that's it. I'll click OK. I might have to change one setting, but for now I'll just click OK. And then the baluster placement below that is the next edit button. So I'm just going to turn all of these off. So the baluster there, the first one is set to none. I'm going to tick this one, use baluster on per tread on stairs, turn that off too. And then for the start post, again, set it to none. Corner post, same thing, none, and end post, none. That's it. Okay. Okay. There we are, plain sheet of glass. But I've still got some fine tuning to do. So back into plan, look at it a bit more closely. So you can see there, it's actually going over the stair. I want that to be alongside the stair. So I'm going to go back into Edit Type and change the rail structure to have an offset of, I think it's -20. Yep, yep. So click OK, OK, and it's moved it to one side of my stairs. Yep, that's right. And then I'll check that back in 3D. Pretty good. Right, so it's up against the stairs now, which is perfect. But then we've also still got a handrail there, which I don't want. So again, back to Edit Type. And here it's got top rail. Yes, I'm just going to change that to no. Click OK. And now we've got a nice plain sheet of glass without anything else getting in the way. Yeah, so that's because of the winder. We'd have to model in a custom stringer there. So I'd probably take the winder off because we don't really need a winder here. But again, I'll show you how easy it is to fix that too. So so what I might do actually is just select that stair. Oh, that's normal. Yeah, there's not much you can do about that because it would have to be cut off at the bottom. That's normal. There's nothing you can do really about that. So, yeah, but the winder though should... Around here? Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. And so this one as well, I can just set to my plain glass. And then you can see again where you'll have some issues because of the heights and things, misbehaving. So it's all because of that winder. Winders are okay, but they sometimes take a bit of working out. So I go to Edit the Stairs and delete all of that, and then I'll just extend this to have a couple more steps. Come back and draw a new run, and this time coming around the other way, so it would be the left, so it's going to be the right, yeah. So the location line here, I'm going to change to run right. Even though I'm drawing on the left-hand side, you need to think about the direction you'll be walking up the stairs and orient it that way. Okay, so this will work much better, even though it's a similar shape to what I had before. Just going to move this all into the corner. Just wanted to show you there that when I change it, my railing should follow it. So even though I haven't touched the railing, you can see it's now much better. So then I would have to go back and change the shape of this floor to match the changes I've just made to the stair. And it's actually a good thing if you can leave a bit of a gap. I know it's tempting to try and take this right up to the stair to get the maximum room possible, but if you can leave a bit of a gap, it will give you a bit more room for things like your balustrades. So just a little gap there is a good thing. Okay, so again, just coming back to the 3D view, so you can probably tell already, we still need to have a balustrade that goes along this edge of the floor. So back to upper floor. I know these are ceiling plans. Just going to minimise that. So upper floor in my floor plans, of course. And then with the railing tool again. And so if you're wondering which option I'm using, it's Sketch Path every time. And so over here, I can just choose plain glass, the one I've made before. And I'm going to draw over the edge of my floor there. Tick to finish. And so this one I've drawn the opposite way, so I'll try flipping it. Okay, so this one doesn't need the offset. Okay, so you've got a couple of options there. You could either go and edit the path and bring that line 20 mil in. That's one option, but probably the better option would be to make a new type. I mean, this is actually working really reasonably well, but again, if I go to edit type, duplicate, and then I can change that rail structure and just take that offset value away. Yeah, and now it's up against the floor. And then you'll again see there are issues when you make railings that need to connect to other railings from a stair to a floor edge. You're going to get these issues with the way it projects. And that's why you'll often see that they make special railings just for stairs. And so here it's actually height correction that I need to put in. So I'll go back into the section just to finish off and show you that. There we are, so I can see it there. So I can then measure what my height correction has to be. So I'll just measure that distance there. What is it? 200, that's quite a bit. Okay, so I've got to go back to the 3D view. Okay, so to finish this off, I'll have to start maybe with that one. Edit path, and then I can select this line here. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's just you're going to have a gap under here, if you do. You could actually, and you'd probably get away with it most of the time, even though you would have to fill in the gap somehow. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. Yeah, so that's one option. You could just delete that path. That's probably the cleanest way. Yeah, for this I think that's maybe pretty good. But I'll just quickly show you height correction because it's an interesting thing, and it's deliberately in there because of things like this. So here with that line selected, it's got height correction, and I can just change that to custom, and then make it -200. Tick to finish, and it's getting confused because of the way I've done the profile. So maybe don't do height correction. We have to change it to, let's see if we do this. No, it's still got issues. I have to make a new profile, but we don't want to go too far with that. So height correction works most of the time, but in this case, yeah, just because of the way I've done the profile, it's confusing it. We'd have to make a new profile that worked from the top down, which I don't want to have to show you. So we'll go back to by type, and that'll fix it. But yeah, I think what you said before, taking it off is probably a simpler solution. There we are. So again, notice how even with this simpler stringer, that it's lost it below the landing. So there are options for putting in supports automatically for landings, but often in situations like that, you're better off just making the stair and then coming back and using model in place to add in the extra structure that you need. And that's a really quick, simple one I can just show you. So model in place, and I'll use stairs as the category, and then using set, pick a plane. I'm going to choose the bottom of this landing, and I'll go and make an extrusion. And with pick lines, I'm going to pick the two sides of this stringer, and then I'll pick the two sides of the other stringer, so that I can use trim to join those lines together. And then back to pick lines, and I can pick the front, or sorry, really the back or the end of the stringer. And the same over here. And then join all those lines together again. So we've got an L-shaped piece that should line up exactly with the stringers. So I'll just finish that and then stretch it down. If you're really fussy, you could cut this off at an angle with a void. But even like that, I think it's pretty good. So I'm just going to choose a timber material so that it's similar to what we've got on the stair. And that will be enough. Again, at the end, you'd probably cut that angle to make it look a bit more presentable. And I can't help myself, I have to show you that. So here, I'll just do a void extrusion and use, I think that is it. I'll use pick a plane again. These are things that you don't have to do at this stage, but it doesn't hurt for you to see them. And you can see how brilliant Revit is actually at doing these projections from different planes. So I've made a triangle without drawing any new lines, just picking things that are already there. And there we are, cut off perfectly. I think so. So just remember that when you're left with pieces that are missing, you can always come back and add that in. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep, sure.